What's up, Sparkle Squad? Welcome to the Let Your Soul Sparkle podcast. Today I'm joined by a guest that I have been waiting so long to have on the show, Stephanie Telfer. I hope I say your last name right. It's Telfer.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Telfer. Yeah, you're doing it.
Okay. She is a transformation coach specializing in anxiety and teaching practical tools like EFT, which is also known as emotional freedom technique or tapping. Yeah, I'm so excited to talk to you about this. Stephanie had her own journey to heal herself of chronic anxiety. She basically became super dedicated to her own personal growth and healing, really out of necessity, right? Which I feel like so many of us do that.
Yeah.
And along the way, you basically just learned a lot and started to try different modalities, everything you could think of, and kind of landed on this is what I kind of found from researching everything you do. You also became a yoga teacher, got a master's in spiritual psychology. I think that's so cool. Yeah. And basically she likes to help people answer the big question, which is, how the hell do I live a happy, joyful, and fulfilled life in my body? So now she helps everyone do the same and basically answer that call that she had so long ago. She's also very intuitive, which I feel like that's why you and I connect so well. And the thing that I think is really cool is Stephanie actually created a camp called Camp Shine, which is a mind, body, and spirit retreat for kids. And they serve over 300 children a year to live really bright lives, and just through various programs, summer camps, and it basically you created like you had a vision of what you would have wanted as a child, right? And you created that. Yeah. So welcome, Stephanie. I'm so excited. That's such a great, I love that you've done all of this. It's so cool.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm really excited to be here.
So you basically had a long road with anxiety growing up and started to just kind of do your own research. So do you want to tell me a little bit about that and what got you here?
Yeah. So I think it all kind of started in childhood. And I had a sister who was really sick and actually passed away from cancer. And during that time, I really struggled in school. And so I just had a horrible low self-esteem. And I really didn't process that trauma in my life because, my parents, I have fabulous parents, but they were doing the best that they could, experiencing such a huge loss. And so it was like life just kept rolling on, but it was like, in a way, I almost got stuck there. And so as I grew into adulthood, and especially after I had my first son, it was like really clear that I had to heal this part of myself. And it's really interesting. So I'll tell a quick story if that's okay.
Yeah.
When I was 25, and yesterday was my birthday. Okay.
Yeah,
so this is
right. Happy birthday.
Yeah, this is really an ironic and timely story. So when I was 25, I was in the car with my mom, and it's raining because it always rains on my birthday. It's like tradition.
It did yesterday a lot.
which is fine. I'm getting accustomed to it. But I was driving along, and I'm 25, it's my 25th birthday. And my mom's like, I'm going to take you to Danville. And if you know Danville, it's like a really nice place in the Bay Area. And she's like, I want to buy you some shoes and I want to go to lunch. And as we're driving there, I'm in tears because I'm so wildly anxious. And I looked at my mom and I said, all I want for my birthday is to not be anxious anymore. And right then and there was the first day that I actually called and got help. And so it was like my first counseling session was on the phone in the car on my 25th birthday, because I said, I need help. I can't live like this. I'm racing in my body. I feel disassociated. I'm not living my life on purpose. And at the same time, I had a life that looked good. Do you see what I'm saying? I was married to a man who loved me. I had a healthy son. I had a home. You know what I'm saying? And still I was deeply, deeply suffering. And so that's kind of started my journey into figuring out how do you heal from anxiety? How do you live a healthy, happy life? And, from there, I tried all kinds of different modalities and healing modalities. But what I discovered along the way is that you can 100% heal yourself, and that you have the power to heal yourself and to heal those wounds inside of you. And that the reality is there isn't something wrong with you. There was never something wrong with me. it was like I had to remove to the barrier that there was something wrong with me. And I had to heal those things that were hurting.
Yeah.
And it's really about having like love and compassion for yourself. You know, love is really the healing is the application of love to anywhere that hurts. And so, yeah, so that's kind of like how I got started. And I tried every modality you could humanly think of. And there's still so many that I use, but I would say one of the things, because I know mainly we're talking about EFT, is one of the things I loved about EFT was it taught me how to soothe my nervous system on the spot in the middle of a stressor. And in doing so, it helped me to completely retrain my brain.
Yeah.
And what I love is that nobody has to do it for you.
Yeah,
You
that
can do it
is really
yourself.
cool. And you can do it literally anywhere. Like when you told me
Anywhere.
that, I was like, she's so right about that. I mean, that in itself is huge. But okay, so I want to back it up because you said something that I was like, that is so amazing. So healing is the application of love for anything that hurts. Is that what you said it?
That's all it is. Healing
Okay.
is the application of love to any place inside that hurts. It's having more love, more love, more love, compassion for yourself. And especially when you're struggling, you know. And I've had a lot of lessons in love in my recent past and learning the power of love. Like how even with like people in your life, how can you come to them with more love? And truly, I know it sounds so cheesy, but it's so wildly healing. You know, sometimes easier said than done, but it's a good practice.
Yeah. And I think so many times when people hear love, they automatically think of like their child or their parents or their spouse or partner, but it's also like so much for yourself, especially going through a healing journey with what you're talking about. I mean, so much of it is self-love and self-compassion, self-care, right? I mean,
yeah, and I would go as far as to say that it's almost hard to love other people until you fully love yourself.
Yes.
You
So
know,
true.
it's like you have to fill up from that place because, you know, then you have more capacity to love them as they are, because you can love you as you are, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. It's like easier to accept other people when it's hard when you're like not even able to accept yourself or accept the things that you would consider flaws, let alone someone else's, right? You just see it lens. Yeah.
Totally. Like it's really hard to accept another person's flaws if you're unwilling to accept your own. And I would also go to say that some of the flaws in other people that irritate you are kind of likely flaws that are in you
probably
that
a
you
big
need
old
to
mirror.
heal and to love, you know?
Yeah, probably a big old mirror set to show you something, right?
It really is a mirror. So so that's, you know.
So when did you go to school for the spiritual psychology? I feel like that is so cool that you did that.
I loved that program. You know, it's like I always wanted to be a psychology major and study psychology, and I always wanted to work with people in this fashion. One of the things that I wanted to work with was predominantly healthy individuals who felt stuck or scared or not living to their full potential or wondering questions like, why am I here? And so I was less interested, and God bless the people who do this, I was less interested in diagnosis. You know, I wasn't really interested in like trying to figure out if somebody was schizophrenic, right? So when I found my program in, what year was that? I can't even remember now. Quite a long time ago. We'll just say that. I was loving that because the main part of the program was asking big questions like, why am I here? What is our life purpose? What does it take to be a healthy person? And that was what inspired me to do that program. And a mentor of mine, actually, who I met, and I love your community because you got a woo, like your people are into the woo.
Totally. They're into the woo.
They're into the woo. So we could talk woo. I had my mentor and somebody who really helped me was like the first person who introduced me to spirituality because I grew up religious. I was Catholic. And so being introduced to spirituality, I went to a little store called Angel Heart for You in Benicia, California. I give it a little shout out. I love it. It's a metaphysical store. And I met my dear friend, Laurel, and she did angel readings, her intuitive readings. And I worked with her for a very long time. And then she had gone to USM. She had got her master's degree in spiritual psychology. And I was like, you know what? I should do that. And it was a really pivotal and life-changing experience.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So the way that I actually, I'm like thinking back, the way that I actually met you is because I go to your sister for,
Yeah.
she's my natural doctor, Andrea. And what I really love about the approach that you guys take is like the fact of like, you're very intuitive working with, cards and listening to your own intuition. And it brought you to down this journey. And then that's how you kind of started all of this. I love that Andrea, instead of being like, here's this medicine for stress right off the bat, it's like, how can we manage your stress in your life? I mean, don't get me wrong, like she'll help you with like supplements and dietary changes and whatever it needs to be. But I love that, something that she prescribes is working with you and to learn how to manage stress and anxiety in this way. So is that something that you like? I know you guys kind of team up on that, but I mean, I think it's really cool that that can be something instead of someone just going to the doctor for anxiety medicine. Now, I'm not going to put any shade or shame on someone that has to do that, because I had in my life, right? There has been times where I had to take something for anxiety before. But now my choice, if given the choice, right? If it's not a situation, I always say, and I know that this is like kind of common for most people, but I always say that like Western medicine is there for me if if time is not of an essence and I need something and like there's no other way to heal it, like it's nice to have it there. But like for me, I always go to the more natural, like Eastern kind of like modality, because like if I do have time and if I am able to have that luxury of being able to try different things in the moment, and tapping is one of those things. And so I think it's really cool that people that maybe don't feel like, gosh, I don't want to be on something for anxiety, I don't want to have to like take a pill or go to the doctor. It's like, there are these things that you can try that really do calm down your nervous system and are available to you all of the time. Like you could do it any time of day. I do a lot of my tapping. I don't know if I've ever told you this. I feel like I do a lot of my tapping like in the shower, right? It's like literally where I do it.
And I tapped in the shower this morning.
Did you?
Yeah, I had a little slight stomach ache, just it was interesting. I was in the shower and I was like, I just feel a slight offness in my stomach. And it wasn't like I wasn't worried about it. It wasn't a problem.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm going to tap on it. And so I sat in the shower and just tapped, and I got out. I was fine.
I love it.
It happens time and time again.
It's funny. So you're going to laugh at this one, because I know that you have to, and we're going to go through this, you guys, and I'm going to put it on YouTube so that you can actually watch Stephanie and I tap, God willing. Because let me tell you, sometimes I think I'm going to put something up and technology is not my friend. So the intention is to put it up, but when I do it, sometimes like if I'm somewhere where I can't get through the whole thing, I just do like the ones I can. And I'm like, does that even matter? I was going to ask you that.
Honestly, I think doing the tapping is most important. People get hung up on what to say. They get hung up on having the exact points. It doesn't matter. It just matters that you do it. And also just observing if you get relief, right? So if you're doing it and you're out in public and you're like, you know what, I might not be doing the whole sequence, right? Because there's a sequence of tapping points. That's and how did you feel? Did you get relief?
You totally calmed me down. I actually was blow drying a client and my hand was going numb. I know we talked about this and I like took a breather. She was like facing the other way and I kind of was doing like the karate chop on my hand.
Yeah.
And, like that one the most, which is funny because that's the hand that's numb. And then I think I like did this for a second, like my face and then my chest a little bit. And I like calmed myself down enough that I'm like, okay. And then went in the break room actually and did the whole like sequence afterwards to calm myself down a little bit from it. Because what happens is, which I know most of us, is like once you start getting anxiety, it's like the anxiety, it's almost like the problem isn't the problem anymore. It's like your anxiety becomes the problem and you just start to like spiral, right? And so it's like calming yourself down and getting back to like center. And so that's what tapping really helps me do, and almost just be like, okay, like it just feels so good to do it, which I understand why that becomes a thing that you like really centered in on. And you're like, okay, I'm going to really get good at teaching this because it's easy for people to do. It's free. Like nobody has to be able to afford a therapist or afford a medicine, right? Like anyone can do this. And, what I loved also that you told me is that you've taught your kids to tap, and that like you used to tap on them, right? Like if they couldn't sleep at night and stuff, that's so cool.
Yeah. So it's a really great modality. I think that there's always a ton of things in your toolbox, but for me, that has been a mainstay. And I look at it as like emotional and energetic hygiene. So likely that little
Mhm.
thing in my stomach that I was feeling, it might have just been energy. You
Yeah.
know, it might not have even been physical. It might, and I'm very sensitive. And I think a lot of people with anxiety are extraordinarily sensitive people.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's a lot of times what they're processing is energy. And sometimes that can feel very physical. And then sometimes tapping really does help with physical ailments, you know, like having wrist pain or having a flu. I mean, I've had times where I've been sick in bed and, you know, tapping is the only real thing that gives me relief. So it's a very powerful tool in helping to calm your nervous system
Yeah.
and to get yourself back into balance. Because the truth of the matter is that our natural gauge point or our natural set is actually calm and centered, right?
Okay.
But it's almost like our nervous system gets shoved over into this other gear and then we can't get it off. Think of it like a gas pedal and a brake. You
Yeah.
know, it's like so many of us have the gas pedal on so hard, we don't know how to use the brake anymore. And so EFT is a great brake. It teaches your nervous system, how can I rewire to feel calm in my body? Because
Yeah.
back in the day, we had lions and things to chase us, and cortisol and all those and adrenaline and all these chemicals that we naturally released were helpful, right? It like
Yeah.
shunted blood to our limbs and we could run and, you know, but now it's like the kid in the back seat of the car screaming is you know, creating that stress chemical, or being late
Yeah.
for work, or a stressful email, or the unending amount of emails. And, you know, so
Yeah.
the tapping is a really great way to get your foot back on the brake pedal of your life and to be able to like soothe and calm your nervous system.
Yeah,
Um,
I love that. I mean,
yeah,
that's such a great way of explaining it because I mean, even like I know I've done it, but I wanted to ask you, you know, like how it actually like does it. And that's a great way of explaining it.
mhm,
It's just basically calming down your nervous system to a point
yeah,
of like where it's supposed to be all the time. I feel
it's
like so many of us have like
yeah,
a heightened nervous system. So many people right now have like adrenal fatigue and don't even realize, right? It's like we're in that fight
totally.
or flight mode. I think
Mhm.
a lot of times, like I know for me, like when I've gone through things in my life, I've been like, but it's over. Why do I still feel like this? Like I'm doing
Oh,
well. I don't
mhm.
understand. Right. And then it's like, no, because your body is still in that fight or flight space because it
Mhm.
just doesn't know how to get back to calm. Right. And so,
Totally. And that's another really good point. Like, and this is a little complicated, so I hope I explained this well, but the body isn't super aware of time. Okay.
mhm,
So something that can happen a long time ago, if it's not, if your nervous system isn't healed from that, then you can go through life and become re-triggered. You can get re-triggered because it's not healed.
okay.
Like think of people with PTSD, right? They go to war
Yeah.
and then they come back in a loud noise. It's because their nervous system was never able to reset.
Mm,
It's like they were always on high alert. And so the tapping in just your everyday life, like you don't have to so worry about like, I need to find that one thing that triggered my nervous system and heal that one thing. It's like if you just start using tapping in your life, like every day, almost like brushing your teeth, you will reset and reprogram your nervous system. You will see what it feels like to be calm in your body again, in conjunction with good sleep,
yeah.
eating well and not poisoning your body,
Yeah.
you know, going for walks, getting outside in nature. These things are wildly helpful to for
Yeah.
your nervous system. And I want to touch back really quickly on the medication concept, you know, the topic of
Yeah.
medication.
Yeah.
You know,
Please do.
I
Yeah.
I actually I never took medication. It was like I was on this like this personal quest to
Yeah.
find out what was wrong with me. There wasn't really anything wrong with me. Um, but there were things that I needed to change and tweak. And it was like my anxiety was a messenger. Like it
Yeah.
was like, hey, this isn't right, you know? And I've had different times in my life where it's gotten louder and it's almost like becomes a teacher. Like, what isn't
Mhm.
right here? I also want to say that I think there were times in my life where taking the anxiety medication might have been the compassionate choice.
Mhm.
So I don't want to like ever advocate for people to suffer. You know what
Yeah.
I
I
mean?
agree. I agree.
Like if you need it, and then you can always learn to get off of it with the help of a provider to, you know, when you're feeling more like stable. But for myself, I'm actually for my own personal journey, I'm grateful that I didn't take it, because I really did use it as a teacher and as a gauge. And what I discovered was so many people are asking themselves questions like, why do I have anxiety? Like, because when you have it, like, that's all you want to know, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why? What in the world? And so I came up with 4 pillars of why people have anxiety. And
Oh, okay.
I'll share it with you guys, because I
Yes,
think
please
it's
do. I would
really,
love to
it's
know.
like a
Yeah.
map. Eventually, I'd like
Okay.
to do an anxiety map for people. And
Yeah.
I'm really busy with Camp Shine, and I love Camp Shine, but I also feel this like calling to help people with anxiety, because I know how wildly uncomfortable it is. I
Yeah.
also know how wildly sensitive and powerful those, like, our demographic is, or the demographic of people with anxiety are, and how a lot of times their anxiety is actually like really just their hidden potential,
Mm.
right? Like,
Mhm.
they just have things inside of themselves that they would want to share or express, right?
Yeah.
So the 4 would be, number 1 would be childhood trauma.
Yeah.
So if you have something in your childhood that really set your nervous system on overdrive, like all the way on the gas pedal, and you haven't learned to retrain your nervous system, you're probably still dealing with that, because the body's not super good at time.
Yeah.
The other one is physiological. So that's where people might say, well, it's genetic, right? Or it's lineage, right? My dad had anxiety, my grandma had anxiety, and there is that component to it, right? Doesn't mean that you can't heal that. It just means that it's in your lineage. Um, and also, I would go to say that toxins can become neurotoxins. You know,
Yeah.
like that happened to me in 2017. I got really, really sick. It manifested as wild anxiety, and it was toxins,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The other one is that it can become a habit.
Mhm.
Anxiety can become a really bad habit. So
Gosh,
when
I
I was,
never thought about that before, but I feel like right now I feel like my mind is blown,
it's
because
a
you're right. It's
habit.
almost like just like your story. Like you get used to being anxious, right? Or functioning at a high level of anxiety all the
It,
time.
and then, like, for me, because I was on this hardcore quest to overcome my anxiety, every podcast, every book, everything was about anxiety. I ate, brave, slept anxiety, and I was experiencing it all the time. And the reason I was doing that is because I was trying to heal it. But in trying my attempt at healing it, I was creating more of the habit.
Yeah. You get
Everyone
more of what you
around
focus
me,
on, right? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
everybody around me was like, like that's Stephanie's flavor. It's like I couldn't become somebody else or
Yeah.
something else, because I was just so, it became a really bad habit. I'd wake up in the morning and I'd look for it. I'd be like, okay, is it coming? Is it not coming? Instead of
Yeah.
just getting up and starting my day, right? Which
Yeah.
is very
Yeah.
tough when you have anxiety. So yeah, more on that later. And then
Yeah.
the 4th one is passion and purpose, and
Mhm.
finding something to take that old habit, take that energy of that old habit and transplant it into something else.
Mm.
And then there becomes maintenance. And maintenance is how do I regulate my nervous system? So I guess
Yeah.
there's 5 pillars. The 5th one would be, how do I then go forward with my system as my friend and regulating my nervous system through tools
Yeah.
like tapping, walking, meditating, things like that.
Yeah. So those are your, I was going to ask you that too. Well, first of all, I love those, the 5. That's really cool. I'm like that. I never have heard it like that, but it makes
Yeah.
so much sense. And
Mm-hmm.
what different modalities besides tapping do you do like on a daily basis? So you mentioned meditation, walking. Obviously, I know that you're someone, just from knowing you in life, like you do eat like whole natural foods, and you get
Yeah.
sunshine and all of the things that you get good sleep. But
Mm-hmm.
like, is there anything else that you would add to that?
Um, yeah, I think um tapping is almost like, yeah, like I said, brushing your teeth. I also think walking is incredibly underrated and undervalued. And I
Yeah,
know that that sounds almost too simple. Like, you're just like, come on, there's got to be something else. There's nothing more powerful than getting out and going for a walk,
so true. It's so
especially for
true.
people who are anxious, because the worst thing you can tell somebody who's anxious is go sit and meditate.
Hmm.
What?
Be with your own thoughts and start freaking
you're
out.
like,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
like, no, that
yeah,
sounds terrible. So I would say going for a walk is a great way to move the energy. It's a great way to get fresh air. It's really good at resetting your day and resetting yourself. So when I was in the throes of really bad anxiety, I walked every single morning. It
Mhm.
was like clockwork because I knew I had to retrain my brain. It was
Yeah.
like I would take my dogs and I would go listen to podcasts or I'd listen to music. I'd see the sunshine. I'd remember that life is good. And I
Mhm.
just did it every single morning. And sometimes it was just once around my block. It wasn't much, but it was like my mainstay. And I really truly believe it's one of the things that helped me heal in 2017 when I got really sick.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I will notice sometimes, I don't know if you do this ever, but like I'll be on a walk and I purposely sometimes will make it a point to take like really deep, good breaths when I'm outside.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, like you realize like how often you're not taking good breaths once you try to take the good breaths as you're walking, right? Where you're like, gosh,
Yeah.
I should be taking these deep inhalations like more often. And it just feels so good. I mean, you know me, I'm such a big like, proponent
Hiker.
for nature and hiking
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
everything, right?
Mhm.
And I love being outside like that. There really is nothing like it. And it really does shift your mood and your attitude like the second you go outside. And you could technically tap as you're walking if you really wanted to, which is awesome,
Totally.
right?
And
Like,
I
yeah,
have.
yeah,
Yeah. And I think that's why I started Camp Shine too, is because I could see that our kids really need to go outside and remember how
yeah,
awesome it is being outside and being with animals and learning about plants and like being a part of our earth. We
yeah.
are from the earth. Like we have to sometimes unplug from the technology and we need to go outside and be a part of it,
I
and
know it's so sad. Like when we were kids, I mean, that's all we did all day. Like I would be out with my brothers and my cousins just playing. Like my mom had to like beg us to come inside, Like you're
this might be TMI, but Andrea and I would go to the bathroom outside because we didn't want to come
yeah.
inside. You know what I mean? Like
Right? I'm
we
pretty
would
sure that I'm pretty sure my brothers would do that too. Like I'm
like
not even
we're
kidding. We were outside constantly, and especially because my grandpa was a farmer, so we had like a lot of
yeah.
land and stuff, right? So we always were outside. And I was listening to something today on a podcast actually at the gym talking about how like that is why we have so much like obesity, chronic illness, anxiety, depression, all of that is because I mean, as we know, it's gotten extremely worse since the world shut down a couple years ago, right? Like so many
Yeah.
more people are suffering. And one of the biggest things is like people don't, I mean, they don't even order, they don't even buy their groceries anymore, right? Like they order their groceries, like all the things that you used to do to
Mhm.
get out of the house and move. So many people do less and less of those things, right? And so it's like,
Yeah.
how is that not depressing and anxiety inducing to be in your house constantly looking at a screen, looking at your phone? I mean, I mean, I really do think some of the stuff with my hands in the carpal tunnel is because of being on a phone more, being on a computer more, not just my job, it's
Totally.
just a total perfect storm of everything.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so, yeah, I mean, it's a different world now that we have to manage and be able to get through compared to when we were little kids or when our parents were younger. And it makes
Mhm.
me like sad to think for like the generations coming up. So to have something like Camp Shine and like really get them back
Yeah.
to baseline with like
Mhm.
sunshine and animals. And I think it's so cool. And I watch you guys make like elderberry syrup and like
Yeah.
doing these things. Like that is so
Yeah.
freaking cool. Like
Yeah.
I think that those are the kind of things that like everyone needs to learn. Like we go to school and we go
Totally.
on the tangent, right? But we learn these things that like no one even uses or not even important, right? But the
Totally.
things that you're teaching at this camp, I mean, I think those are amazing life skills that like
Mhm.
as an adult, I would want to learn that if I didn't know how to make elderberry syrup. Or you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just very cool things
Yeah.
to
We
do.
have
You
we
need
have
an adult version.
I know we have so many people are like, when are you going to do adult Camp Shine? And I probably will at some point, but that was
Yeah.
my exact point. Was so many people in my life are like, Stephanie, you're so good with children. I love kids. I just get kids. I think it's because I remember what it's like to be a kid.
Yeah.
And everybody's always been like, you should be a teacher, you should be a teacher. But I was like, I just don't see myself in that setting. I really see I wanted to teach children what I know now as an adult that I wish I could have known then. Like,
Yeah.
how do you take care of your physical body? How do you regulate your nervous system? It's like when kids get overstimulated at camp, which to be honest, isn't that often because we're outside and it's not overstimulating. They go swing in a hammock and I tell them, come join us when you take some deep breaths and come back. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
how do you regulate yourself?
Yeah.
How do you take care of yourself? So it really was kind of stemmed from this desire to something I wish I would have had. And we bring in
Yeah.
naturopathic doctors, and my sister comes, who's a functional medicine doctor, and we have a horticulturist who comes, and artists and pottery people. And so it's just
Yeah.
I feel so like wildly blessed because it's like my happy place.
Yeah,
And
it's so
yeah,
awesome to be able to do like what you love like that,
yeah,
It's
I
so cool and like really make
really,
a difference.
yeah, I really love it. And it's like it doesn't come without its, I don't want to say struggles, but like for my own personal learning, like for me,
Yeah,
like we were talking about before, I think we started recording, it's like I don't love dealing with the computer and technology, but it's like
yeah,
part of the job,
yeah, yeah,
um but for the most part, I'm like just, so grateful every day that I get to do what I love, and really truly feel like I'm living out my life's work.
yeah.
Like
So
in my
important.
heart of my hearts, this feels like where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah,
And that feels really good. And I have to tell you, there are many, many years where I didn't feel that way, you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
So I guess the message to the people listening, to you listening, the listener, that, keep going.
yeah.
And it was so cute. There's this book by Nancy Tillman, and it's like it, it talks about how we each are so unique and we all have our own inner ring ding.
How
Okay.
cute.
Have
Yeah.
your inner ring ding. And one little boy comes up to me after I read it at Camp Shine, and he goes, Miss Stephanie, he goes, when did you start Camp Shine? And I said, a few years ago. And he goes, ring ding.
Oh, how
He
cute.
said, ring ding. Like, he's like, you did it, girl. Like,
Yeah, he's like, you
you,
did it. I'm proud
you
of you.
did it. Like, ring ding. And I was like, he got it. Like, it almost made me
Yeah,
cry, because it was like, how did this 7-year-old boy get that it was a ring ding for me? you
yeah,
know and
yeah,
also for the people who get to come and be there, like the kids, like it was like a ring ding for him too.
yeah,
I
yeah,
just thought it was the sweetest thing. Like, it's one of those memories I will always like remember, when that little boy, and my hope is that he grows, and then that's what I said to him: I want you to grow and find your own ring ding.
yes,
Okay, like
yes,
that's your job,
totally.
and
Oh
it
my
doesn't have
God.
to look like mine. It's going to look like yours,
Yeah,
and
I
that's the
think that's
thing.
actually, I'm so glad you just said that, because I think that that's what causes a lot of anxiety in people, is trying to do something that's not aligned with who they are or with their soul, just in general in life. Like, I know even when I'm
Totally.
making decisions or anything in life that's just not aligned with who I am, I get anxiety, and I'm like, wait, this doesn't, that anxiety is a signal, you guys,
A
right? Like,
signal.
it's
It's
a
a
signal.
teacher.
So it's like, if this doesn't feel right and it feels off
Mhm.
and it's giving you anxiety, like we need to go a different way too. So I don't think, the
Right.
anxiety can show up in so many different ways for people. I
Totally.
always feel like it's a signal. If something feels off or feels wrong, like how can we reevaluate this, right?
Totally. Totally. And absolutely. And also when you get your anxiety to baseline, meaning you're not chronically anxious, because I think what happens is when people are chronically anxious, everything makes them anxiety
Yeah,
ridden.
yeah,
Like, maybe I shouldn't even go to the store, because it's like,
yeah, yeah,
but once you get to a baseline and you soothe your nervous system with tools like tapping, which we'll get into, is then you can operate from a more clear, quieter place inside, where you can more easily listen to your intuition
mhm,
and your guidance. So when you become anxious, or when something makes you anxious, because it's not your chronic constant state, now it becomes a tool.
yeah,
Like, oh, I'm anxious about this. Well, why am I anxious about this? And like asking the questions, really asking yourself open-ended questions is such a great way to get inquisitive about what you're experiencing. Why am I anxious? You know, what
yeah,
about this situation is making me anxious?
yeah.
Um, and sometimes anxiety also comes with growth, right? Like, you go to do something new and you leave the comfort zone. And I would say that that's actually probably a little bit of healthy anxiety,
Yeah,
right?
totally, right? Yeah,
Because that's
absolutely.
normal. That's normal. You're growing. There should be there. It's okay. Also, a good thing to note is when you get really excited about something, it actually releases very similar chemicals to anxiety. So
Oh,
sometimes
really?
people feel excited, excuse me, and then they think they're anxious, but you're not anxious, you're actually excited.
That's really
So,
interesting.
little
Yeah,
tidbit.
that's so interesting. Well, I mean, I'm thinking right now, because yeah, like when my girlfriends and I went ziplining last year, like I was anxious and nervous, but it was like an exciting anxious and nervous. It wasn't like the fight
Right.
or flight kind of anxious and nervous. So that's great to like
Mhm.
realize like the differences. Now, one thing I just thought of as you're talking, that I want to ask you is, as an intuitive, and I know I have lots
Yeah.
of people that listen to my show that are in this industry and just in
Mhm.
general, right? Do you ever like, I know I feel sometimes I will feel other people's anxiety like around me, and it can be really hard, like especially like hair
Mhm.
clients when they're telling me like a really
Mhm.
stressful story, or
Mhm.
sometimes in a sparkle session when someone's like telling me what's going
Mhm.
on with them. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just like a very empath, like intuitive feeling. And so I will sometimes use like crystals and stuff to clear the energy after, or do a meditation. I have like a whole ritual of like how to like block myself or let go of someone else's energy. But would you use tapping for that as well? Like to like,
100%,
yeah.
100%. Tapping
Okay.
and releasing so-and-so stress, tapping and
Mm,
releasing so-and-so stress, right?
okay.
Like bringing your brain back to your brain. Because what happens almost, it's like you're now connected, and it's almost
Yeah.
like getting your own brain back, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Like cutting
Um,
the cord.
yeah, it's like cutting a cord. Yeah, we're all energetic beings. And I would go as far as to say that could be a sixth pillar of why you
Mhm.
have anxiety. And as a matter of fact, I think that's a huge one in terms of being an empath, because I think a lot of people who are empathic are people who can be anxious or experience a lot of anxiety. I think asking that open-ended question, is this mine or is this someone else's, is
Yeah.
a huge thing. And you will hear inside of yourself that clear answer.
Yeah.
You will feel intuitively, and a lot of times, sometimes it's someone else's energy if it doesn't make a lot of sense. Like you're like, I'm kind of going through my day and all of a sudden I feel anxious, or all of a sudden I feel off.
Totally. Yeah.
And
That's how I
that
know, right? Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
typically is someone else's. Now you don't have to freak out. It's nothing to worry about. It's not, nobody has dominion over your energy, over is
Mm,
that's more powerful than you. Some tools that you could use is you could tap and release their energy, and also ask to get your own brain, call back all my energy. You can also, go stand outside on the grass and just imagine roots going down to the center of the ground. Ironically, I know that sounds really like, I don't know, sounds like a commercial for woo, but it genuinely, like a woo
oh
commercial,
yeah, but it really
it,
works,
it
right? Yeah.
really, really works, because we have an energy body. We don't just have a physical body, we have an energy body. And so what we have discovered is it's really cool to be able to direct your energy body with your intention. You're
Yeah.
naturally grounding all day long. You're connected to the field of the earth that's connected to the field of your body. We're grounded all the time. But if you do it intentionally, you really can start to feel the difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
And being grounded in your body is incredibly peaceful. A lot of people who have anxiety, their energy bodies are actually just not in their bodies. Their energy bodies, like, I know people can't see me because we're talking, but it's like up over, like around their head. Does this make sense? So they're
Yeah.
like, and they're also maybe very spiritual people. So they're like, and this used to be me, so I know, it's like they're talking to angels and they're connecting higher. And what you need to do is practice being in your body,
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
be in your body. Like, and that actually feels really good.
Yeah.
And
It does.
when you're
It definitely
and
does.
when you're and when you're more full of your own energy, right? You have all your energy flowing properly. You're less likely to run into feeling other people's energy, because you're like a full cup.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
That makes a lot of sense. I think the thing I can think of is like, I'm not a mom, but I can think of like, you know, how mom's always like, I had this like instinct that something was wrong with my kid and I got all this anxiety and like, but I think you people that are moms also are spread so thin, right? Like they're giving to this
Mhm.
kid, they're giving to their husband, they're giving to the, you know, all these other people, and
Yeah.
like be able to use some of these tools that you're saying to ground
Yeah.
back in.
Yeah.
That's really very, very helpful, I think. Very,
Yeah.
very helpful for
Yeah.
that.
Tapping is great for it, sending the energy down. Um, And also there's this one tool that I learned from one of the teachers I studied under, Jeffrey Allen, and it actually is a really powerful tool. In your mind, you visualize a rose, and it's called a permission rose.
Mm,
And so instead of making it about my energy is being attacked, or I gotta cutting cords is good too, but it's more about permission. So at the
mhm.
end of my field, okay, so your field is, if you put your arm out straight out in front of you, that is usually the length of somebody's field, right? It's about an arm
Right.
width all the way around the body. So what I do is I imagine a permission rose, and it's like a beautiful, like open rose. And you can, do this now while you're listening to this, it's like, imagine what your rose looks like. Maybe it's red or pink or white or whatever. And you just put it out at the end of your field. And you just say, I give myself 100% permission to have the space between myself and this rose. And everybody else has permission to have the rest of the space. I'm
Yeah.
just calling this space. Does this make
Yeah.
sense?
That's
And it's
awesome.
and it's a permission. I'm giving myself permission to have my space, and I'm giving you permission to have your space. And sometimes when I go into situations where I feel like it might be stressful, I'll just put my permission rose up. Like I
Mhm.
have permission to have my own energy and my own space.
Yeah, I love that
And
reminder. That'd be so helpful going into situations that you know is going to be stressful, especially,
yeah.
people that struggle with anxiety and stuff. I know myself when I've been in different places
Mhm.
in my life, like even going to an event, where you just don't
Right.
really want to go, but you feel like it's something you have to do or whatever it might be, to
Right.
be like, I'm going to put my permission rose up right now and I'm
Yeah.
going to maybe you tap before you go, like all of that.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
that'd be
And
so helpful.
I have permission to have my space. And really that's all we really want.
Yeah,
Like
right.
just give me permission to have my own comfortable bubble around myself. Doesn't mean you can't, like I can't connect with you and I can't, it just means I want to just take ownership for my own space. And I
Yeah,
don't want to take ownership for your space. Because that's
yeah.
what empaths
Keep
want
your
to do.
stuff.
We want to say, come on, give it to me. Let me take ownership of your stuff too. Because I can heal it. I can help you.
Yeah.
But
I can
really
help
everybody,
everyone, right? Right. Yeah.
but
Um,
really
so
you have to do your own stuff.
so tell me, so we will tap, but why don't you tell me like and explain it, because I know some people might not watch the YouTube, or we'll see how the YouTube goes,
Right.
but
Right.
explain to me how you started. And by the way, you guys, you could Google YouTube any of this and you'll find it. I mean, it's all over the
Totally.
place. Like one night I
Yeah.
couldn't remember like if I was doing it properly. This was a while ago, and I literally just looked on Pinterest and it was right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
YouTube University, you can learn just
yes,
about anything.
exactly. Exactly.
And there's a great guy named Brad Yates, actually, and he has a ton of different tap alongs.
Oh,
So
okay.
so you could tap along with Brad Yates. You can Google like anxiety or whatever it may be, and there's great tap alongs because really what we're trying to do is just help people calm that nervous system.
Yeah.
So the points are um I'm like, do I share the history of EFT? I don't know. That might be a
Yes,
little
yes,
long.
go for it, go for it. Whatever
Okay.
you feel like sharing, if you wanna just
Okay.
like, go into it, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's good to share. So Roger Callahan created something called thought field therapy actually by accident. So he had this client named Mary, and she had a phobia of water, and he was a psychiatrist, and he studied a little bit of Eastern medicine, just very little. She was heading down to the pool and she's starting to freak out, and he goes, Mary, tap under your eye. Why her name is Mary, I don't know, but they do include that info. So you're
Okay.
going to tap under your eye, your eye. Now this, because he knew that that was the stomach point
Mm,
in Chinese medicine. So these are meridians. So in EFT or TFT, you're tapping on meridian endpoints to kind of release any kind of stuck energy, but it also helps your meridians flow. So think of when you go to acupuncture, right? And they put the needles in, it's to support the energy flow of your meridians and your chi, your energy body. Highly, highly effective. It's
yeah,
crazy. I'm so grateful to Chinese medicine for them figuring out that we have these pathways, and they're also they're like highways on the body. So they're not random. There is energy systems that are random, like radiant circuits, those kind of run just all over the body, but meridians have pathways. Um, so anyways, her phobia went away like in 1 minute, like
wow.
gone. And they'd worked together for years and years, gone. And so he was like, there really is something to pairing Western talk therapy with tapping on these meridians to soothe the nervous system. He's like, there really is something to this. So he ended up teaming up with, okay, so that's Roger Callahan. That's how it got started. EFT, emotional freedom technique, was created by a man named Gary Craig. And he discovered that you didn't need specific recipes like you did in TFT, thought field therapy. But if you could just do the same routine over and over again, the same pathway, the same points in this particular sequence, that you got the same results as thought
Mm,
field therapy, which is more like recipes for certain things, right? So tap on this, this for this. So the nice thing is that EFT has really been mainstreamed because it's so easy
yeah,
and it's the same. And I mean, people are healed from so many different things in tapping. I've seen it heal anxiety. I've seen it heal panic. I've seen it help pain. I've seen it in my own life. I've seen it in my clients. I teach it at camp. Like if
yeah,
I feel like if everybody could tap and learn to soothe their nervous system, the whole world would be better.
right.
Like we'd all be happier and healthier. And healthier. That's the thing, healthier, because healthy energy is a healthy body.
Yeah. And
Like they go hand in
you can
hand.
tap for anything. Like it's not just like how she's saying it heals anxiety, right? But like you could tap if you're struggling with like poor body image or a
Totally.
breakup, you know, like
Totally.
anything like going to sleep. Like, I mean, you might not be anxious to go to sleep, but you might just not be able to fall asleep. You could tell yourself like
Totally.
calming yourself down to get prepared for sleep, like whatever it is.
Mhm.
You'll hear it more like as Stephanie goes through the script, but
Mhm.
like you can change that to any of these
Mhm.
things, right?
Yeah. And like Jessica Ortner is somebody who works really with people with body image. So if anybody struggles with body image stuff and you want to try EFT, check out Jessica Ortner. She's done a lot of work around that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, I
Yeah.
didn't with that. Yeah. So then you go through the different points. So do you want to tell us what those are and then
Yeah.
I'll show them
Yeah.
for
So,
people?
okay. So I'll kind of describe it, but basically there's a setup phrase, and the setup phrase is kind of telling you like what's the topic, right? I also want to note that it's not like if you are in an immediate stressor, you don't have to worry so much about the words. Okay.
Mhm.
You just want to really start tapping. But this is really good for healing things from the past or maybe working on something specific. So, what you do is when you do the setup phrase, you're going to say it 3 times and you're going to take your fingers or like you can tap on the side of your hand where your pinky is on that fleshy part on the side of your hand. And you're going to say, even though,
Want me to go back? Even
yeah,
though,
even
okay, even
though
though
I have numb hands and a painful wrist,
I have numb hands and a painful wrist,
I still love and care for myself.
I still love and care for myself.
So then it's 2 more, even though
Even though
I have a painful wrist
I have a painful wrist
and numb hands.
and numb hands.
And it's frustrating as hell.
And frustrating as hell, man.
I still love and care for myself.
I still love and care for myself.
Yeah. And then you're going to say it one more time and maybe use your words. Am I saying it right? Even
Yeah.
though?
Yeah. Even though you know, what's funny? I'm trying to think of the way that I say it. Sometimes I think I say, now it's not coming, but I say something very similar, but like
Yeah.
yeah.
So
I
it's
think I
really,
say like, I love, yeah, I'm trying to think of how I've said it, but
it's important to kind of use your words. So even when I'm
yeah,
in tapping sessions with people and I'm teaching them like to tap, I'm always like checking in, like, is this the way your brain processes
yeah,
this? Because it
yeah,
needs to be your brain. We're working on your brain, right? So it's even though, so you say it 3 times, even though
even though
I have a painful wrist and numb hands.
I have a painful wrist and numb hands,
And sometimes it stresses me out at work
and sometimes it stresses me out at work
or when I lay in bed
when I lay in bed
and trying to figure out why I have it
and trying to figure out why I have it,
or how to get rid of it.
how to get rid of it.
I still love and care for myself.
I still love and care for myself.
And I'm ready to let it go now.
I'm ready to let it go now.
Okay, so the next point is the hair on your eyebrow, like right where your eyebrow hair starts, like, and you're gonna like hit it right. Yeah, good. You're gonna tap there and you just keep talking about the story. So what I do is I just tell the story of it. So it could just be whatever comes up. You don't have to say it perfectly. Like for you, Jaclyn, because we're gonna use you an example, you could just say, I'm really frustrated.
Yeah, I'm really frustrated with it.
I'm tired of dealing with it.
Tired of dealing with it.
I'm tired of anticipating how my
Tired,
hands are going to be feeling
tired of anticipating how my hands are going to feel
and it dictating my life.
and it dictating my life.
Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. So that's point 1, right? Now slide down your eyebrows like they're a slide and come to the corner of your eyes. Good. Yeah. Right on that bone on the side. And you're going to say, tell me more about it, Jaclyn. So just tell me.
So it stresses me out when I'm at the gym because I want to be able
Yeah.
to do more things that I can right now.
Yeah.
And I think just the inconsistency of when it feels better and then it feels bad, it just kind of stresses me out because I don't know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just constantly worried about it.
Yeah. I'm feeling like it takes up a lot of space in my mind.
Yeah.
Come under the eye. So everybody would slide under their eye, like right under the pupil and on that bone there. And you're going to tap. There you go. And when
So,
did it start? So we're using you as a little example. When did it
okay.
start?
So it's done this off and on in life, but it got a lot worse in December.
Okay.
Really busy at work and it got really bad.
Was there anything that was happening in December that like you were like,
Just working a lot. I had some inflammatory foods that maybe that I was just trying out, trying some new things into my diet, even though they were healthy. I just think my body just
didn't
doesn't like
like it?
everything. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think it just kind of sparked up a little, what would that be called?
Flare.
A flare. Yep, exactly, a flare.
Yeah. Yeah, it's frustrating to be in a flare.
Mhm.
Okay. And then you're going to tap under your nose. Did you feel pressure? And this is kind of how we would do a session, but we'll just roll with it. Did you feel a lot of pressure at work to like make sure that you could, meet all your clients and doing
Yeah.
all of that? And then you got scared because like your hands weren't cooperating and you felt out of control.
Yeah, absolutely. I also have the fear of like, this is my livelihood. Like, this is what I do
Yeah.
for work and for money.
How am I? So this, you see how deep rooted this becomes,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
it's like, oh my God, like, so imagine the stress around this now. It's like, oh my God, this is my livelihood. How am I going to pay rent? How am I going to do all the
Mhm.
things?
Yeah.
So it becomes so much bigger,
Yeah.
right?
And it's painful. You know what I mean? So you're also in
Painful.
pain for it all.
Yeah. So the next point, you guys, we're just kind of tapping along is underneath the chin in like the little crease underneath your bottom lip. Yeah. Yeah. And so it's stressful and I feel out of control.
Mhm.
Would you
Definitely.
say that that's the big one? I feel out of control.
Yeah. And just want it to go away.
I
Like, just to
just
feel
want it
better.
to go away. I just want it to be healthy. Now, you guys might notice that we're talking about this and it feels kind of negative. You're like, why would I tap on things that are negative? Because what we're doing is we're bringing up in our mind the thing that's the stressor. But while we tap, at the same time, we're telling our body, you're safe, you're safe, you're safe. So while Jaclyn at the same time is talking about feeling out of control or talking about feeling stressed, the tapping is actually sending a signal, you're okay, you're okay. So in a way, it's like rewriting it.
Mhm.
And so it's okay to talk about what you might be currently experiencing. We're going through this, we're human, right? Okay, so the next point is under the collarbone. So imagine you have a necktie on. You're going to go over 2 inches under your collarbone, and it's like a soft spot right under there. And that's that point. And it's kind of tender, at least mine is today.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's not tender, sometimes it is. And you can tap both sides or you could tap one side. So you don't have to necessarily tap both sides because the meridians run down the face equal. So like under the eye is both the stomach meridian. So whether you tap the left or the right, you're still hitting your stomach meridian.
Okay.
And then the other point is underneath the arm. This is everyone's least favorite spot. It's
Yeah.
along the bra strap, under the arm. I kind of use the side of my hand to kind of get it. And then you'll come to the top of your head. Okay. And so now that we kind of do it, we'll do it maybe one more time a little bit faster just with us. And just, you're just going to keep in mind of, your hands. And then the other thing is I always wrap up with a positive thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to say, it's safe for my hands to heal.
It's safe for my hands to heal.
Yeah. What else feels true? What else could
I
you say
keep
that?
telling myself it will get better. This won't be forever.
I haven't always experienced this.
I haven't always experienced this.
Yeah. And for those of you at home, just know we're continuing to tap along the points. I haven't always experienced this. So I know that I can heal.
I know that I can heal.
My body knows how to heal.
My body knows how to heal.
It's natural for my body to heal.
It's natural for my body to heal.
My natural state is one of well-being.
My natural state wants well-being.
I've been completely pain-free before.
I've been completely pain-free before.
I could do it again.
I can do it again.
I can do it.
I can do it.
In the meantime, I'm going to be patient.
In the meantime, I'm going to be patient.
Yeah. And I'm going to tap.
And I'm going to tap.
And I'm going to visualize my hands working in perfect condition as I go to bed at night.
I'm going to visualize my hands working in perfect condition as I go to bed at night.
Out of curiosity, what's one thing you think this symptom that you're experiencing has taught you? If it was a teacher, what was the lesson? And I know that can be really hard, right?
Yeah.
And if it's okay if you haven't found it yet either.
Yeah, I haven't found the lesson yet.
Okay.
Honestly, I really haven't.
Yeah, so it's
Okay.
okay. I don't know why this is here. And that's, we could say that on the tapping.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't yet know why this is here.
I don't know why this is here.
One day I will.
One day I will.
And one day it will be gone.
One day it will be gone.
I'm healthy and well.
I'm healthy and well.
My body wants to be healthy and well.
My body wants to be healthy.
My body wants to be healthy.
My body wants to be healthy.
So, what's really important is that you just do the points. Just start tapping, people. Look it up on YouTube. Just start practicing. Don't get hung up on the words. I've been doing this a long time and
Yeah.
running kind of
Yeah, you're
Jaclyn
so good
through
at
a
it.
personal session, right?
Yeah.
And so many people tell me like, I didn't know what to say, so I didn't do it. Well, don't worry about that. The whole
Yeah.
thing is just healing the nervous system. And you might feel your hands buzzing ever so slightly. I don't know if you can feel that, Jaclyn.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So that's tapping.
Yeah.
It's very easy once you get the hang of it and once you practice. And the other thing about tapping is it's not something you're going to do once. And okay, I'm not going to say that because this could happen and miracles do happen. I believe in them. Some people, tap and they have what's called the 1-minute miracle. They tap and it just forever goes away. It has happened. But I would say most people, you have to create it as a lifestyle. Tap before bed, tap while you're in the shower, tap when you drive in the car, if you're safe, could safely do it. And most definitely tap if you're in an immediate stressor. So like Jaclyn tapping at work or me tapping in the shower today, those are great examples of just making sure that you do it, especially in the moment of a stressor.
Yeah. I remember you told me even like one time you were at dinner with your family and like you
Oh.
went in the bathroom and like you can literally, you guys, anytime like you're at like your mother-in-law's house and she's stressing you out, you can literally go to the bathroom and do this. I mean,
And
it's
tap.
that's what I love is like you don't need to have anything with you. Like you have
Mhm.
it all in with which I love. Like I love saying that even in spirituality, right? Like you are your own guru. You don't need all these other things outside of
Totally.
yourself. This is like the perfect example of that. So
I truly felt like my life turned a corner. And of course, we all have stress, right? Like it's about learning the tools so that you can support yourself in all situations, right? But I really felt like my life turned a corner for the better when I took my healing in my own hands,
yeah.
literally with tapping and with walking and learning to really meditate, quiet myself, to do those kinds of things. I really felt was when I started to feel a true shift in my life where I really felt that healing is possible. I just want people to know they can heal themselves. It's really important.
I love that because it's just a good example that like we have everything we need.
You
It's just
do.
remembering that we have the answers and also tuning into that. I will say I feel very calm and relaxed even just after doing that, even with it being on screen. And like one of the things I always tell myself, I know the script can get a little bit like what's the word, intimidating sometimes for
Yeah.
people. But the way I think about it, and maybe I'm wrong, but you can tell me, is I try to tell myself to tell the story I'm telling myself and then tell the
Yes.
story how I want it to be, right?
Yep.
Or like
Yep.
how like
Mm.
like it will get better.
Yeah.
And kind of like you're painting like the picture of what's happening that's not positive that's going on, right? And then you
Right.
paint it in a positive light, basically. Is that
Right. Right.
kind of
And exactly, like telling the story of how you're just genuinely feeling. It's
yeah,
not about this fake positivity. That's why I asked you,
no,
Jaclyn, like, what's the teacher? You're like, I don't know. Well, don't
yeah,
find
I
the
don't.
teacher and you don't need the teacher until the teacher's ready.
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
would have asked me a few years ago about 2017, well, what was the lesson in that? I'd be like, I don't know. It was the worst time in my whole life. There was no teacher, zero teacher. It was so
yeah,
awful.
yeah,
But now, like in hindsight, I've gotten years away from it. I can see it deepen my understanding of energy. It deepened my understanding of really what we consume and put on our bodies is wildly important. It's made me
yeah.
a better practitioner. It helped me create Camp Shine. Like, I don't know if Camp Shine would be here if I didn't go through 2017 and being so wildly sick. It took my life to ground zero. It's like I had to totally rebuild my life and everything. So and I guess that goes for people who are listening, like if you're going through a hard time and you're like, where's the teacher? It's just not here yet. So just be patient. It's okay. You'll find it with some time, and just have some compassion for yourself and your journey, because we all go through it.
Absolutely. I love that reminder. I'm so glad that you said that. I mean, it's couldn't be more true. I feel like the harder times is like those teachers that we find in life. That's what makes us who we are. But it doesn't feel
Yeah,
like that in the moment. In
it
the
does
moment, it doesn't feel
not.
like that. But
It does
you know,
not. And the other
yeah.
person I would suggest for you, Jaclyn, and maybe people for at home too, is Marissa Pierce.
Okay.
Is a hypnotist who she's very, very well known. People likely will know who she is. Works with helping people reprogram the body and the
Mhm.
mind to heal, because it is your
Okay.
natural birthright to be well and to heal. So
So
check
Marissa
her
Pierce.
out for you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Definitely
Marissa
will.
Pierce. Yeah.
Well, Stephanie, thank you so much. So I want to make sure that people can find you, and especially so you are in the Martinez area, right? If
Yep.
people want to look up Camp Shine for their children.
Yep.
And then you are at, what is your website? It's Shine with Stephanie.
So you can find me at campshine.com, and then you can find me with shinewithstephaniemarie.com as well. I'm not really taking on any more personal clients, but I'm really hoping to do more group work in the near future to really help people. I just feel such a deep calling and like a passion to help people with anxiety, because man, it is honestly, I think, the worst thing in the entire planet.
Yeah.
And the people who have it have such gifts, potential, and just want people to know they don't have to suffer.
Yeah,
There's so much we can
absolutely.
do, so much you can do to heal, and just getting started it can be overwhelming. So
And something kind of fun, I have to add. I know, so
yes.
Stephanie on Instagram, her and Andrea created this. It was so funny, you guys. Like,
Oh
I
my
feel like you
gosh.
guys are the best duo, because it's like you truly do not like care, right? Like you just say whatever's on your mind. It's like,
We
I think
really
it's
don't
such a
care.
world that's like so perfectly curated on Instagram. It was like you guys
Uh-uh.
just show up and you're like cooking together or like at the gym together, and it's like totally two sisters, because you guys are like kind of talking shit to each other, right?
Oh,
Which is so
totally.
funny.
Yeah.
And it's the best, so that you would put it in your Instagram stories. And it started with you guys cooking, and so you started calling it the worst cooking show ever, which was so funny.
Yeah.
And it was
It
just
was,
like the cutest, because it's like a comic
yeah.
relief of like real people, like not people that are trying to be funny on Instagram or trying to show you something. It was just like such authentic, like sister bonding. Like when I feel like Andrea always is calling you out on something, and like you
Oh
just
my
don't
God.
care. You just like
I
laugh about
don't,
it. So
I
funny.
don't, I don't
Yeah.
care at all. And
Yeah.
I really don't. But it's funny because it's like our dynamic. Like
Yes.
she
I love it.
totally teases me. The other funny thing is like about Andrea, she doesn't love being on camera. She hates it. I've never cared about it. I don't really care about it. So like the fact that she narrates is just
Yes.
completely hilarious, because her narration is so funny.
Yeah. It's
It's
so good.
it's
It,
called Sister Soup. We've been a little quiet. We have disappointed fans. People are like, and by the way, when I say fans, we have like 70 followers. Okay.
but I love that you're like that one day you were like,
Do
so
we
we
have
have
fans?
fans now. Like we have fans. I'm like, I love it. So you guys renamed it to Sister Soup, and you made your own page. So if you guys
Yeah.
want just like cute, fun entertainment,
Give it a
she'll be back at
follow.
some point. It's fun for
Yeah.
me because Andrea is obviously my doctor. So even
Yeah.
though we have a good relationship as a doctor and a patient, I don't ever see her like her dynamics with her family. So it's cute to see her like that too,
Oh
because she's so
yeah.
entertaining,
Oh,
like it's awesome.
she's
Yeah.
super funny. Yeah. And
Yeah.
we have this like natural kind of banter that so yes, it is kind of fun to see her behind the scenes and see what we do. And the other thing is, Andrea and I were talking about, we were like, sometimes we just go through our natural life and we think sometimes there's some value there.
Yeah,
Like we hope
absolutely.
that, we're just being our goofball selves. But I'm also like talking about like, what initiated it was I was trying to get more protein in my
Yes.
diet, because I'm always running around with the kids, and I think previously, before Andrea's like, you need more protein in your diet, I don't think I was doing it. So I always go to her house to eat and she's like, was making me a high protein snack. So our hope is that we always provide some value. Lately it's had less value, but we're hope to return with more value.
Yeah.
We
No,
got to
I
get it
love it.
together, because we
You
both
know,
do miss it.
I have to add, I know we were closing out, but talking about Andrea and talking about you, it made me remember that's one thing that I want to add, because I believe also, so I'm about to start sharing on Instagram in the next like couple of weeks, that Andrea and Kristen are coming back with their gut healing course, which you and I
Yeah.
have done. It's like so highly valuable, and I'm definitely going to be talking more about it. So we don't have to do a deep dive on this show about
Yeah.
it. But I do also believe that like healing your gut helps a tremendous amount with anxiety and stress,
Totally.
right? And
Totally.
so would you agree with obviously you
Oh,
agree with that? And
absolutely. I mean,
yeah.
so many people, and the thing is sometimes you just have to find that one thing that's talking to you. Like, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like some people are really, really anxious, and then they heal their gut and it's like cleared up by like 95% or
Yeah.
gone,
Yeah.
or they remove that one toxin that they're experiencing on a daily basis. For me, it was drinking out of plastic water jugs. That was
Mhm.
really toxic for me. Or it could be starting your tapping routine where you're healing your nervous system on a regular basis. Yes, absolutely. I think TGR is so jam-packed with valuable
Yeah.
information. and also is right in alignment with what we talk about, taking healing into your own hands and being
Yes.
responsible for your own health, being responsible for your own healing, and that you can do it. And I just love the way they educate. I love the way they inspire. And then there's also tapping in the e-course
Yeah.
as well. So
I love
I
that
make
part.
a little guest
Definitely,
appearance
yeah.
with doing a
The
little bit of
tapping as well.
tapping.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. It's very valuable. I was talking to my brother about it yesterday because I really hope that he joins us around. And I
Yeah.
was telling him how I have worked with Andrea for years, but there's just no way that you could get all the value she provides in that course through just appointments alone, unless you just
Totally.
were like a millionaire and you just wanted to spend so much money to just pay
Uh-huh.
Andrea to sit there for hours and explain everything to you.
Totally.
It is like so much packed in information.
Mhm.
And I would just like nerd out on it watching it. I loved every single episode, and
Yep.
even like the cooking stuff with Kristen. Like it
Yep.
just is so good. And again, like I'm going to talk more about this on my page, you guys, and I
Yeah.
hope you follow along.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like that helps your nervous system and your anxiety and all of that. In
Totally.
addition with the tapping, that's why they bring it in. I forgot about that. That was like, I was so
Yeah.
happy when I saw you. I'm like, this is so cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just everything comes full center. So I love that you guys are on this like mission to heal people inside,
Yeah.
heal their body and out. And it's just,
Yeah.
it's really cool. So
Yeah, we're so lucky. We love what we do. And I think people truly, if you are dealing with health issues, whether it be eczema, whether it be gut stuff, whether it be anxiety, whether it be honestly anything, autoimmune or joint problem, it's just so great. And very comprehensive. They've done such a good job.
such a
in
good
there.
job. And they're
They
always
really have.
working on improving it, which I think is so cool. Like they're always doing
Yeah.
little things, which I'm like, nothing
Yeah.
needs improvement, but they're still doing it.
No,
You know?
that's Andrea in a nutshell. Like she's very much like everything has to, it's almost, that's why it's sometimes hard for us to work together. Cause I'm like, let's get this thing done. And she's like, but what about this? So,
I love it.
yeah.
Well, that's what also makes you guys so good on the sister soup. So, well, thank
Yeah.
you so much, Stephanie, for being on here. I like so much appreciate you taking your time
Yeah.
to share this all with the Sparkle Squad. I know they're going to love you, and
Aw.
they'll get to see you again with tapping if they sign up for TGR, which I hope
Yeah.
that they'll take advantage. I'm going to have like a little affiliate code, which is like, it's funny.
Yeah.
I just love being able to, it's one of the things I'm so excited to share because I feel like it makes such a huge difference in people's lives. It's just
I
like
totally
incredible.
agree.
So
yeah, I get really excited about just sharing things that I know work. Like
yeah.
I'm that way. I'm always like there's Oprah's list and then there's like my list. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
please do this. It works,
Yes, that's what this is all about, right? Like
Yeah.
sharing and helping. So,
Yeah.
well, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
And hopefully, we can do this again sometime.
I'd
I'll have
love
you back on the
to.
show. I love chatting with you. So
Me too.
have
Me
a good
too.
rest of your day.
Thanks, Jaclyn.
All right. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.